Those who are applying for their green card now will die before they reach the front of the line because so many applicants have piled up in backlog since 1998.
Okay, so the question of should we have an immigration system that is so time and resource intensive for individuals hoping to migrate, in terms of them having to pay numerous fees to be able to move through the process, as well as it taking an exceptionally long amount of time to be able to approved for temporary status or whatever the case may be. I do think that it should be a more simplistic process. I certainly don't think that it should be a question of resources. The United States is one of the wealthiest countries in the world, and asking for individuals who are migrating for a better life to pay into that system for the right to remain here seems to be counterproductive to the reason why most people want to immigrate here, right? Which is the idea that it's for a better life.
There's a lot of issues with our immigration system. There's a lot of recommendations to fix different components of it, whether it's affecting family-based immigration or employment-based immigration. One thing that we are seeing here in the U.S. when people are applying to the Department of Homeland Security's USCIS for some sort of immigration status or benefit is these really lengthy processing times, excessively lengthy. In fact, there was just, I think, an article in Forbes within the past month saying that these processing times are at a crisis level.
In fiscal year 2018, a staggering 94% of all immigration petitions and application form types took longer to process when compared to fiscal year 2014.
I am a little suspect of this administration, whose Buy American, Hire American agenda seems to be implemented in a way to frustrate legitimate immigration. And as a result, we are seeing, coincidentally, we are seeing all-time high processing times by the USCIS, the entity that processes petitions and applications in the U.S. I also think the government has been unreasonably denying a lot of petitions and applications based on changes in their policy over the past couple of years, which causes people to have to file new ones. So again, filing more. But that's one reason the process is so slow.
Immigrant workers from India have had decade-long waits, but those applying right now will wait more than a century.
So work authorization used to be processed in 90 days. Now I believe that the rule says it's processed within a reasonable amount of time. Well, what's reasonable to the government is completely unreasonable to me. 90 days used to be a lengthy amount of time for someone to have to wait, to get an identity in the U.S. Now my clients are waiting 6 months, sometimes 8 months to get a work authorization card.
We're an incredibly affluent country. We have so many wonderful resources, and we also have an aging population. And so without new energy and new workforce, we're going to see a big shift in what the U.S. is able to do and be on a global scale. That being said, I also don't want to see people come in and be exploited for their labor, right? And be at the kind of the bottom of the food chain and just be a workforce without the full rights and privileges of citizenship.
There is a need for low-skilled workers and high-skilled workers in the U.S. I mean, I speak with employers on a daily basis about this. They are not competing with U.S. workers. Now, are there probably some examples you can provide and say, hey, well, I read this story in such and such, and he was competing? Yes, but generally speaking, that's not the case.
Teresa Brown of the Bipartisan Policy Center said there are too few immigration judges tackling far too many cases, which leads to a backlog that can leave immigrants waiting for years.
I would say that, reducing the processing times, either allocating more internal staffing to certain types of applications and petitions is one way to go about doing it, or just hiring more officers to review applications.
So I think the part of the question about how we reform the citizenship application process is investing a lot more in the actual bureaucratic systems around who can process claims, how many people are sitting at a desk looking at applications, who's opening the mail, how long does it take. USCIS, for example, is still not automated. Almost everything is not digitized. It's almost all done on paper. So if you are physically opening every FedEx envelope that my office sends to you with someone's application just around, say, a DACA renewal, and then you're scanning it in a scanner, that's insane.
I think that we should think about how to reorganize, restructure, and streamline our immigration law and our immigration processes so that they are easier to navigate and the standards are better encoded and easier to navigate and function through, and certainly that they would be cheaper to the people that are hoping to come and start new lives in our country.